The latest events in royal families, from jumps and garden parties to visits to Ukraine and Sweden, ending with Eurovision. Welcome to the newest episode of On Royals. Hi, my name is Anna and I'm your guide to all things royal. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel. You'll support it this way, and I'm very thankful to all my subscribers for supporting my channel. It's great to see that thanks to this channel can develop. Okay, but let's start with the British royal family before quickly jumping to other royal families in Europe. So, King Charles has returned to his duties in, let's say, full time since January, when news of King's health problems surfaced, shortly followed by the revelation that King Charles has cancer. Charles has limited his royal duties and focused on his treatment. We rarely saw him publicly, apart from occasionally going to or from church. He was doing most of his responsibilities at his home or home's palaces, let's say, and rarely met outside, rarely attended any events. But with the beginning of May, it has changed, and the first event, which was attended not only by King Charles, but also by his wife, Queen Camilla, was actually a trip to a cancer treatment center where the royal couple met with patients and doctors, which is very important for Charles, of course, as he and also Catherine are undergoing treatments. Few days later, King has appeared during the traditional garden party. So the garden party in Buckingham Palace, in the garden of Buckingham Palace, this is something that is going on for many years now, and it's not for aristocracy, it's not for politicians, it's just for regular Brits. Regular but very much involved in their communities. But usually it's not only one or two royals that appear on those garden parties. This time we also had Princess Anne, Prince Edward and his wife Sophie, and the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester. And I'm gonna stop right here with Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, as I know she is a favorite of many. She went for a very interesting trip recently. She is the first member of the royal family who went to Ukraine after the war started. She went to Kiev and met with the presidential pair, President Zelensky and his wife, but she also met with organizations who are very much involved in the cause she is supporting for years, which is sexual violence against women. On her way back from Ukraine, Sophie visited Warsaw, Poland, where she paid respects to the Warsaw Ghetto Memorial Site and visited Center for Education and Development, where she met with Ukrainian refugees and their children. But there is something cooking in the UK, and this is a very special visit from Japan. The Emperor and Empress of Japan will visit UK and London next month, and we've seen already state visit how King Charles and Queen Camilla are receiving a state visit. For example, a South Korean presidential pair visited last year, so we will probably see something similar this year, although this is an emperor, of course, with the ranks and everything. Nowadays, emperor and the king and the president, they're in the same line, in the same level, but still an emperor, something a bit more special. So I'm very looking forward to this meeting, especially when state visits of foreign heads are a time for big pageantry, but also banquet. And for the banquet, usually royals wear tiaras. So I'm very curious what Queen Camilla will choose, but also if Catherine will attend, what she will wear. We don't know anything about Catherine's health. The only thing we keep hearing is, for example, when William is asked, and he's saying that everything is going well and, just super regular things, because William has returned to his royal duties after a break or being more or less like part-time during the beginning of Catherine's treatment, but Catherine is undergoing the treatment. This is the last update we had, and we don't know when she will be back. So we don't know if she is going to be attending the banquet for the Emperor of Japan or Trooping the Color for that instance. But there is something going on with Sussexes. I have to say, it is quite surprising how much is going on with Harry and Meghan for the last few weeks. They have been kind of low-key for 2023, apart from Spur, but after the Spur madness, they have been kind of low-key. They were cooking something, and one of the big revelation was on 15th of March, when Meghan has released a teaser trailer for her brand American Riviera Orchard. We can hear that the brand will sell items connected with entertaining and welcoming guests, such as plates, jams, napkins, etc. And one product we've seen already was jam, which was very limited, like 50 jars of jam, and it was sent to many celebrities. For example, Kardashian's mother. But the Sussexes are not only busy making jams. On Wednesday, May the 8th, Harry attended a service at St. Paul's Cathedral in London. During this service, there was a big celebration of 10th anniversary of his project Invictus Games. And of course, Invictus Games is dedicated to help people in service who have been fighting in the war or in a conflict zone, and via sport they can go back to social life and feel better. So this is the team Harry is supporting for 10 years now. And this is very interesting because most of the foreign trips that Harry and Meghan did since they actually stepped out of the royal family were actually connected with Invictus Games. Apart from their private matters or funerals and coronations, most of the trips were connected with Invictus Games. It was a trip to the Netherlands or Germany where the games were organized. And the thing that I'm going to talk about next is also somehow connected with Invictus Games, but less than previously. On May the 10th, Harry and Meghan began their visit to Nigeria at the invitation of the Minister of Defense of Nigeria. And at first I was thinking what Harry and Meghan has in common with the defense of Nigeria. And I couldn't kind of find the connection. But then, of course, Invictus Games, because Invictus Games, soldiers and Ministry of Defense, they kind of coming together. And what was planned for this visit, of course, several meetings. And I would say it was very close to what a royal visit to a country looks like, in terms of the fact that Harry and Meghan, they met with families of the soldiers, for example. They visited school, they visited hospital where wounded soldiers are recovering. Meghan also co-hosted an event, Women in Leadership event. She was co-hosting with the director of World Trade Organization. So very high profile on one hand trip, and on the other hand very charity oriented, project oriented. So it's almost exactly the setup that a normal royal tour would be. Therefore, I see a lot of inspiration from this, and I'm very, very, very curious actually what's behind this. And will Harry and Meghan do more of those trips or not? If yes, why? If not, why? What's going on? Because this is something very unusual for them. I'll definitely watch it closely and see what's cooking, because well, that's interesting. And maybe another Ministry of Defense will invite them as well. But it's worth mentioning that it was the first trip back to Africa after almost 5 years. So for Harry and Meghan, probably it was something very special, as before everything happened, there were some gossips. Before the Megxit happened, there were some gossips that Harry and Meghan, they love Africa and they would like to move there. So, well, probably there was no talking about moving to Nigeria, but still, it's good for them to be back to Africa after such a long time. And I'm really curious what's going to happen. If you know why they decided for this step, or do you have any predictions, or do you think it will continue? I think it may continue, but let's see. Let me know in the comments below. All right, so what about other royal families? First we have Denmark and Sweden. So finally, the royal couple of Denmark, Frederick and Mary, they went international. They went for a proper royal tour, a state visit, and they paid this state visit to Stockholm, Sweden, and Swedish royal family. And of course, Swedish and Danish royal families, they're very closely connected. They have some family connections, but also on the monarchies level as well, and they really like each other. And we could tell immediately when Frederick and Mary were greeted by Victoria and Daniel. Victoria is the crown princess, so the next in line to the Swedish throne, and Daniel is her husband. When they greeted Frederick and Mary from Denmark, they were, oh my god, it was like best friends are meeting. They were kissing on the cheeks multiple times, hugging. It was like, oh, here's my bestie. So it was very cool to watch this happening. And of course, there were a lot of engagements, more military oriented, culturally oriented. And there was a banquet where we could see beautiful dresses of Swedish members of a Swedish royal family, but also Queen Mary, and everyone commented on this. So it was something also joy for an eye. By the way, Victoria was present at the Eurovision this year, as Eurovision was hosted by Sweden in Malmö, so in southern Sweden. She was present there in the arena for the concert, but not only, she actually opened Eurovision, the final of Eurovision contest, and she did it from the royal palace, from the royal castle in Stockholm. She basically guided us through the corridor, and then she turned around and said, welcome to Sweden, welcome to Malmö, welcome to the Eurovision, it's good to have you in Sweden. So it was very lovely, a very lovely royal touch. But I can see this pattern that for the last few years, royals were paying attention to Eurovision, and they were also felt maybe a bit like hosts, as they are representing the head of this country. So we had now Victoria in Sweden. We had Princess Catherine last year playing piano and also at the beginning of the Eurovision. We had King Charles and Queen Camilla in the arena for the rehearsal, I believe it was. And when back in 2021, when Eurovision was in the Netherlands, we could see Queen Maxima, I think, even on multiple occasions during the show. So it was great. And I really hope that it will continue, whether the show is hosted by a country with a monarchy that will appear. So they did also last weekend, and on the official Instagram profile of the royal family, royal family has also congratulated Nemo from Switzerland for winning Eurovision. And a short tour to Belgium. Elizabeth is the first in line to the Belgium throne, and I've talked a bit about her in a video about the next kings and queens. So Elizabeth is currently in her university years, university era, and she chose Harvard as her place for master studies. So USA you'll have a royal in the room from this summer, but she is not the first European royal to actually study something in in USA, for example, just mentioned Victoria. She did a few semesters in Yale, so also Ivy League. Very interesting that Ivy League universities are the one chosen by the royals from Europe. But I know also Georgetown University in Washington D.C. Has been chosen by multiple members of a royal family, of royal families from Europe. So yeah, also this one is kind of royal. All right, thank you so much for watching this episode. I hope you liked the quick go through news, the latest royal news, and I may do it from time to time. Why not? This was a very, very standard royal month or few weeks in the royal calendar. We had no major news. I think the most interesting thing is the Sussexes still. So let me know what do you think about the next step of Harry and Meghan, and will it continue? Thank you so much for being here with me, subscribing to my channel, and yeah, it's great to have you. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.